Once again, the WTA's Big Three isn't looking so big right now as Aryna Sabalenka and Iga Swiatek both joined Coco Gauff and suffering straight sets losses in Dubai. I and many others are left wondering, does this indicate a changing of the guard on the women's tour? Hey, I'm Christian Bassnight and welcome to Christian's Court, where I cover tennis from all angles. If you have not yet already, make sure you subscribe and click the notification bell so you are notified whenever I post more tennis content like this. Mirra Andreeva reached her maiden WTA 1000 semifinal after completely outclassing world number 2 Iga Swiatek 6-3, 6-3 in Dubai. The first two games were very interesting in this one, but also very crucial. Mirra had breakpoint Iga's first service game, but she could not convert, and then Iga looked to get first blood, holding 3 break points in the following service game, but she wasn't able to get the job done. I think that definitely rattled Swiatek not being able to break in that second game of the match, while it only helped Mirra settle into this one even faster, and she played outstanding tennis from this point on. I really think the 17-year-old took some of Ostapenko's nachos for this match, and she employed some similar strategies that the Latvian did, namely stepping up and being the first one to go on the attack up the line to prevent Iga from dominating from the ground. The 17-year-old also did a phenomenal job of this throughout this entire match. And Mirra is a very smart player too, of course, and she was not afraid to draw Iga into the net with shorter chip shots, which leaves Swiatek a little bit more vulnerable because Iga is not as confident whenever she's forced to come to the net, not on her own terms. A lot of times, Iga just looked like a fish out of water and didn't really know what to do or how to cover these passing shots. Mirra was also aided by Swiatek being a lot more error prone in this match. Iga looked a lot out of sorts at times with some really poor head-scratching misses. Sometimes Iga just rushed herself and didn't take her time and play within herself, and perhaps some of that was due to Mirra, as Andreeva is a very good mover and she can retrieve a lot of balls back in play. Swiatek managed to break first in the second set, and here I was confident that she would at least push it to a decider, especially after she came through a tough service game to consolidate for 3-1. But Mirra just kept her head down and held at love and then played just how she did in the opening set. Andreeva continued going for her down line shots whenever she had just the slightest opening, and she kept drawing Iga forward and passing her. Swiatek, meanwhile, unraveled once again and suffered some really shocking misses. This combo led to Mirra breaking once more at 4-3 before she served it out for one of the biggest wins of her young career. I gotta give Mirra full credit for an outstanding match that she played. This was very impressive to me, and it solidified that I think she will become a slam champion in the next 5 years at least. I already spoke about what Mirra did so well in this one, namely, of course, she changed direction up the line and baited Iga forward to the net and then passed her pretty much every time. But Mirra also served very well in this match, and she went for a lot on both her first and second serve, which paid off well. Andreeva finished with 73% of first serve points won, 63% of her second serve points won too, and she incorporated a lot more pace on her serves, which definitely aided her well, and that prevented Swiatek from attacking her serve more. And I think that the serve has become definitely more of a weapon for Andreeva out there, which makes her even more dangerous to beat. Mirra also did well to attack Iga's second serves, and Swiatek managed just 51% of first serve points won and 50% of second serve points won, which is not good at all. On that note, Iga has got to serve better than she did today for sure. This was her poorest service performance in a long time, I feel. She did not hit her spots well on her first serve at all, and she wasn't really getting those easier holds that she was accustomed to receiving lately. Iga's also got to do a better job of just not panicking and going for a winner whenever she's kind of out of position and stretched wide. She did that way too many times, and it was kind of surprising because I thought that her working with Wim would kind of prevent that from happening and needing to panic and go for big shots, and she can rely more on her physicality to kind of hang in there and then wait for the right time to go for the big kill shot, but that just did not happen at all out there against Andreeva. Swiatek hitting 31 unforced errors is way too much here against a consistent opponent too, like Mirra. I think the biggest thing, though, that Iga needs to work on is her transition game. Her approach shots aren't all that strong. They aren't placed that well, and whenever she did come in, she did not anticipate the passing shot well at all. And I think if she can improve on that front, she can obviously be a much, much better player than she already is now. A few Iganators, Iga's fans, were quick to cast blame on Iga's current coach, Wim Fizet, for Swiatek still having not reached a final since she won the Roland Garros championships in May or June 2024. Iga was real pissed off after the win, and she didn't even give Fizet a high five, which I thought was funny. I said this when they first announced their partnership, but I didn't think that they would last too long. Honestly, I think if Iga doesn't walk away with a slam, if she doesn't win Roland Garros, maybe she might cut Wim loose there. But if she doesn't win a slam in 2025, that might be it for Wim and Iga together. It's a bit odd too because Iga played very well in my opinion in Australia at both the United Cup and in Melbourne, and I feel that she was perhaps 1 point away from winning the Australian Open against Madison Keys in the semifinals. And then two, she played solid in Doha before that Ostapenko beatdown. But this Andreeva match is a bit concerning, I'm not going to lie. Again, Mirra played very well, but that was a very, very poor performance from the Polish woman. World number one, Aryna Sabalenka, lost in the round prior to Clara Tauson by a score of 6-3, 6-2. And to be honest, Big Lenka's loss was pretty similar to Iga's. I'm not going to go as in-depth with that match because it's more old news, but Sabalenka served horrendously against Tauson. Aryna has long had the reputation of being one of the best servers on the women's tour, but against Tauson, she won just 46% of her first serve points and 48% of her second serve points, which is god-awful for someone who serves as good as Sabalenka. And I've noticed since the start of this season, other people have noticed this as well, that Aryna hasn't really gone up and after her first serve as much. And she said that it's because she wants to kind of be more of a smarter server, but I low-key call cap on that. And against someone who is as good of a returner and has as much as firepower as Clara Tauson does, you got to come harder than that. In total, Tauson had 16 breakpoint opportunities, which is insane for a two-set match. Sabalenka, like Swiatek, also struggled with her transition game because a lot of times she got burned by Tauson on the passing shot. That being said, Tauson played a phenomenal match, and she was low-key close to perhaps beating Sabalenka at the Australian Open. Even though that was a straight sets match, it was very tight and competitive, but Aryna was just far more clutch in Melbourne in the big moments and was able to get it done in straights. Sabalenka said in her post-match presser that she did not feel that strong in Dubai, as she was also dealing with a little bit of an illness. There are a few issues with Sabalenka I've noticed right now. First of all, it's her not feeling well physically, of course, the illness, then also perhaps not being all that there mentally due to that tough loss to Madison Keys in the Aussie Open final. And then back to the whole physical aspect of it, perhaps Sabalenka could be dealing with some type of shoulder issue, and that's why she has been going for her serve as much. And to be honest, the serve is a liability for her right now. Got to be real. She might need to take time off like she did after pulling out of Wimbledon due to that shoulder problem and just aim to be 100% healthy for Roland Garros. I know that she probably would lose the world number one ranking, but I think she needs to focus more on, doing well at the slams, continuing to do well at the slams. As I alluded to in the intro, the biggest takeaway from Iga and Aryna and Coco's losses here in the Middle East swings are we witnessing somewhat of a shift in the WTA? Obviously, the big three, as I mentioned, Coco, Iga, Aryna, lost in disappointing straight setters here in Dubai, but they were not the only top players to struggle. Elena Rybakina, in fact, was the only top 10 player to reach the semifinals in Dubai. You had defending champion Jasmine Paolini. She suffered an injury in her round of 16 match against Sofia Kenin. Then Jessica Pegula was eliminated by Linda Noskova the same round of 16 round. Qinwen Zheng is now 1-3 in 2025 after she got beaten by Peyton Stearns in her opening round. Emma Navarro just narrowly, she fell to Sorana Cirstea in the round of 16, and then Paula Badosa, she was beaten by Elena Rybakina, so that kind of cancels each other out. That's not a bad loss at all. I think Madison Keys' Aussie Open win kind of created a shift. It definitely changed things a lot low-key on the WTA, and that shift might be similar to when Flavia Pinedo broke through and won the 2015 U.S. Open after Serena and then maybe Sharapova and a few other top players kind of had a chokehold on the slams, because after Pinedo won that slam, you had a whole bunch of players come through and win their first majors. And And again, yes, the top dogs at the time, Serena and Sharapova, kind of declined after this, but we had a good at least 5 years of having all these first-time surprise slam champions. It seemed to be getting a little bit better from 2022 on when you had Iga, Aryna, and then also Coco and Elena rising. But I think that Keys winning, I feel, took a lot of the win out of Iga and Aryna's sails, at least, while only emboldening these players, lower-ranked players, yet talented players, to step up and do their big ones. In Doha, you had Anisimova come through and win her first 1,000, and I feel like she's long had the talent to be able to beat just about anyone whenever she's playing her A-level tennis. Then here in Dubai, you have Clara Tauson and then Mirra Andreeva, both very talented young players who are now maximizing their potential and being the world's two best players. It's still pretty early in the year, and order very well might be restored by the time the Sunshine Double rolls around, but I would not be surprised if we had another unexpected champion at either or both of Indian Wells or Miami. Focusing real quick on Dubai, the semifinals are set as we have Elena Rybakina. She defeated Sofia Kenin 6-2, 7-6. She takes on Mirra Andreeva. And then we have Clara Tauson against Karolina Muchova. Clara, she beat the young, big-hitting Czech Noskova 7-6, 6-4 in the quarterfinals, while Karolina defeated Sorana Cirstea in straight sets. Not gonna lie, while they might be the underdogs, I think that we very well could see a Tauson-Andreeva final. I might be putting my money on that. In my opinion, they've been the two best players of this tournament thus far, and Karolina and Elena will definitely have more pressure on them being the favorites. And not to mention, neither Rybakina nor Muchova are the best big match players. Now, transitioning to talking about the men, the top women are not the only ones struggling in the Middle East. After world number 1 Jannik Sinner was forced to withdraw from Doha due to his doping suspension, none of the top 4 seeds reached the semifinal stage. Number 2, Alex de Minaur lost a very tight quarterfinal to Andrei Rublev, falling 7-6 in the third. That was probably the most excusable loss out of the top players. You had third seed Novak Djokovic lose his opening round match against Matteo Berrettini 7-6, 6-2, and that marked the Italian's first career victory over the Serbian. Daniil Medvedev, who likely unfortunately is washed right now, was forced to retire from his quarterfinal match against Felix Auger-Aliassime after dropping the first set due to an illness. And of course, Carlos Alcaraz was defeated by world number 25 Jiri Lehecka 6-3, 3-6, 6-4. I want to start by saying that Jiri played a great match for sure, and he's probably playing top 15 level tennis right now in terms of, again, of his level. But Carlos, I think he definitely should have won this match, and I tweeted this, but it was kind of an unnecessary loss for the world number 3, especially when you look at the stats. He had more winners and fewer unforced errors compared to Lehecka, and he also kind of had better serving stats as well. Alcaraz had a chance to take full control of this match in the third set when he had a break point at 4-2, but he missed a return, lost the game, and then he got broken the following game playing a very sloppy service game, and he just could not elevate his level high enough to withstand Lehecka, who played, of course, solid enough to get the W in the end, and of course this was the biggest win of his career. Again, this is not a horrible loss for Alcaraz, and he didn't play that bad. He's just coming off a title, a 500 title in Rotterdam too. So I think maybe expectations are a little bit too high right now on Carlitos, especially amongst his fans who are pretty hard on him too. I think it's because we compare him to Jannik Sinner, who literally is winning everything right now and does it like consistently, going deep and making the finals of all of these tournaments he plays in. But Alcaraz, I think, definitely has an issue with making life harder for himself than it needs to be. More concerning, I think, was his round of 16 win over Luca Nardi, because he was routing the Italian 6-1, 4-1 before he lost focus and he lost the last 5 games of the set to drop the second set, and that type of stuff just cannot happen. But focusing on the semifinals real quick, they look good still. We have Jack Draper, who ended up defeating Matteo Berrettini in a hard-fought 3-set match. He now gets Jiri Lehecka, and then there's FAA against Andrei Rublev in the other semifinal. That is all I have for this Christian's Court report, and let me know your thoughts on Iga and Aryna's losses, and do you think they will get it together before the Sunshine Double, or will they suffer more earlier exits there as well? And let me know what you think about the narrative of Alcaraz just seemingly having a focus issue. Again, make sure you subscribe and click the notification bell so you are notified whenever I post more tennis updates like this. Thank you all so much for watching and for your support, and I'll see you all next time here on Christian's Court.